Britney!
We really need to talk about Jamie Lynn Spears. Yes, she did come out and say that she supported her sister, but her recent behavior proves otherwise. After Britney put her on blast twice in less than 24 hours, Jamie Lynn deleted her original IG caption, and now everyone is calling her out on it. I'm gonna get into all of those details in just a moment, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. So if you didn't know, Britney and her sister Jamie Lynn have been feuding with each other over Instagram in these last few days. However, recently the drama hit an all-time high, and Jamie Lynn was caught clearly backtracking and gaslighting her sister. The pressure was really put onto Jamie Lynn to say something about this conservatorship last month when Britney told the judge that she wished she could sue her whole family, citing that they all did nothing to help her and only watched as she struggled under the control of her father. During her testimony, she said, "I would honestly like to sue my family, to be totally honest with you. I also would like to be able to share my story with the world and what they did to me, instead of it being a hush-hush secret to benefit all of them. I'm told I'm not allowed to expose the people who did this to me." Notice how she kept saying all of them. That includes you too, Jamie Lynn. Not too long after her bombshell testimony was released to the public, Jamie took to her Instagram stories to deny that Britney was referencing her in those statements. She went on to say how much she adored and supported her sister, but if you watch the video, she seemed a little bit annoyed that she even had to make a public statement about this. This is evident when she acts very dismissive towards what her sister would do with her life if she was free. In her response, she said, "Since the day I was born, I've only loved, adored, and supported my sister. I mean, this is my freaking big sister before any of this BS. I don't care if she wants to run away to a rainforest and have a zillion babies in the middle of nowhere, or if she wants to come back and dominate the world the way she has done so many times before, because I have nothing to gain or lose either way. This situation does not affect me either way because I'm only her sister who's only concerned about her happiness. It's the run away to a rainforest for me." Has she honestly even listened to what her sister has been asking for? She's really just saying, "Okay, I talked about how great she is, y'all, now can you leave me alone?" She went on to talk about how she was so proud of her sister for using her voice to speak about this conservatorship, but she seemed resentful of Britney's fans who have been advocating for her freedom for years. However, just days later, the feud between these two began. First, Britney shut Jamie down by shading her on Instagram with this post and said, "Never forget who ignored you when you needed them and who helped you before you even had to ask." And on the caption of that post, Britney went in on all of the people who were supposedly close to her that stood by and did nothing. This one section though is clearly directed at her sister, where she says, "How dare you make it public that now you care? Did you put your hand out when I was drowning? Again, no. So if you're reading this and you know who you are and you actually have the nerve to say anything about my situation just to save face for yourself publicly, if you're gonna post something, please stop with the righteous approach when you're so far from righteous it's not even funny." Although the shade from Britney did not stop there. She hit back at her sister again with this post that said, "For those of you who choose to criticize my dancing videos, look, I'm not going to be performing on any stages anytime soon with my dad handling what I wear, say, do, or think. I've done that for the past 13 years. I'd much rather share videos, yes, from my living room instead of on stage in Vegas, where some people were so far gone they couldn't even shake my hand and ended up getting a contact high from weed all the time. Which I didn't mind, but it would have been nice to be able to go to the motherfucking spa. And no, I'm not going to put on heavy makeup and try on stage again and not be able to do the real deal with remixes of my songs for years." The post continues with her taking direct shots at her sister, adding, "And begging to put my new music in my shows for my fans. So I quit. I don't like that my sister showed up at an award show and performed my songs to remixes. My so-called support system hurt me deeply. This conservatorship killed my dreams. So all I have is hope, and hope is the only thing in this world that is very hard to kill. Yet people still try. I didn't like the way the documentaries bring up humiliating moments from my past. I'm way past all that and have been for a long time. And for women who say it's weird the way I still have hope for fairy tales, go yourself. As I said, hope is all I have right now. You're lucky I post anything at all." Then in response to all of this, many fans believe that Jamie's recent post was her way of responding. She writes in a now deleted caption, "May the peace of the Lord be with you and your spirit." But then it didn't take too long for Britney to hit back with, "May the Lord wrap your mean ass up in joy today." And then as if she was refreshing Britney's feed constantly, Jamie actually went back to her original post to delete the caption that she had written. But fans called her out for it, with one user on Twitter saying, "Jamie Lynn changing the caption 9 hours later." One thing has become clear throughout all of this though, and it's the fact that Britney certainly does not like her sister Jamie Lynn. This little feud really goes back a long way as well, and I want to give credit to the Twitter page called Britney the Stan, who did a huge deep dive into all of these shady ways ways that Jamie Lynn contributed to her sister being locked into a conservatorship. According to them, Britney Spears and her sister Jamie Lynn have a very complicated relationship because they didn't grow up in a house together. There's a 10-year age gap between them, and Britney was already very famous as her little sister was growing up. In 2006, when Jamie was cast to play Zoe 101, she also came into contact with a religious nut named Lou Taylor, someone who describes herself as being married to a godly man and being a submissive wife. Well, this Lou character comes into play several times throughout Britney's life as well. Let's take a look at this email sent from Britney back in 2007. In the email, she calls Lou Taylor a crazy lady and a stalker, even asking the person she is sending the message to, "Do you care if I'm dead? Because I cannot sign your checks if I am. Your client, Britney Jean Spears." Then at the height of Britney's troubles in 2008, this Lou Taylor lady started doing interviews with the press and actually referred to herself as the Spears family spokesperson.
Here you have Britney that needs to have some security somewhere, that every single thing she does and every single person she has a relationship with doesn't become an opportunity to be exploited.
The irony of her talking about Britney's safety when she was the one being the security threat that Britney was worried about in that email. The biggest piece of damning evidence against Jamie Lynn and Lou Taylor here is how involved Lou became in starting this conservatorship, which ultimately benefited Jamie Lynn Spears. Again, according to that Twitter thread, sources have told the media that Lou Taylor was the mastermind of Britney's conservatorship, but Jamie Lynn had continued to remain extremely close with her. By 2018, Jamie was secretly named the trustee of her sister's fortune, and then she attempted to move some of that money into Lou Taylor's old investment firm called Stonebridge. Plus, remember how Jamie Lynn was saying in her video addressing Britney's testimony that she doesn't need any of her sister's money? Well, Jamie, then why is it that people have exposed the expense records showing that you used your sister's money for flights? I mean, several times. I know this is a lot of information to swallow, and if you were a fan of Zoe 101, then I am terribly sorry, but the fact that she has been able to lie about this stuff for so long just doesn't seem right. But either way, we'd love to hear your thoughts on Jamie Lynn Spears in those comments down below, and while you do that, I'm going to check out some of your comments from the video titled "Lil Nas X gets 5 years in prison, James Charles caught in 4K, and Jeff Bezos goes to space." Nally Adams says, "I feel like all of these billionaires are going to space because they know something we don't." Yeah, that's what it feels like, doesn't it? Why are they trying to colonize Mars so fast? Audrey M says, "I already saw the launch was eventful." Was it? I don't even think that Jeff made it that far. I mean, he kind of peeked a bit into space and then just dropped right back down. Pretty uneventful if you ask me. First Last says, "Somehow hearing Johnny say stay classy makes these events less frustrating." Well, that's good. That's good to know. Unknown Me says, "This is such a crazy year." Ooh, and we're not even halfway through. Are we? I don't know, I've lost track of time. Shauna Brown says, "I signed a petition to leave Jeff in space." Well, good for you, Shauna. Good for you. Either way, guys, that has been the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube. Or at least try.